Y'all, this is crazy, yo. I didn't think this was about to affect me like this, but our neighbor school, y'all know I work at a school. Fuck. Our neighboring school, I think it's Gratas. I don't know how to say it. It's Gratas or something like that. They were having their graduation, and there's helicopters in the sky. Most of these schools are, fuck, yo. Most of these schools are predominantly Hispanic. Most of these schools are predominantly Hispanic. Gratas, I believe elementary, was having their graduation. And all of a sudden, a bunch of parents have to run out because ISIS is there. This is the story that I'm hearing. And, our school goes on lockdown. Our principal, tells us it's a drill, but we know it's not a drill. And, I had to come outside. It's my break. We kind of got like off of a soft lockdown, and parents had to run out because they don't have papers, and they had to leave their kids because the kids do. What type of shit is this, yo? And then kids are freaking grabbing teachers and crying on their leg because they don't know if they're about to see their parents when they get home. What the fuck is this? And we voted for this shit? 15 people just got picked up on Wilshire at the Home Depot. On Wilshire. Yo. Man, oh my God. This is not right. This is not right, yo.
All right, Shalom. This is Gamal out of GMS Atlanta. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim pushing out this truth in sincerity. It's a quick lesson, and this is going to be in response to the video that you just saw. You just had a guy basically just crying. He's emotional because of, I guess he's a teacher, and, he's at a neighboring school. They had ICE agents, basically at the graduations, at the graduation, and a lot of parents had to leave. Because they didn't have their papers. And, so, I mean, as far as ICE goes, they figure that was an opportune time to, grab up a lot of undocumented illegal immigrants. And yeah, I mean, you could say it's insensitive because, they're there for a celebration. Yeah, that's why the guy is so emotional, because he's like, oh man, they're at the graduation. It's supposed to be a celebratory time, where, it's a milestone and whatnot. But then, you had Esau coming and, basically rain on their parade. And, so a couple things, because number one, all right, this is Jacob's trouble. The scriptures talks about Jacob's trouble, which we're not at the peak of yet, but we're definitely in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. All right. And Jacob is obviously the another name for Israel. Jacob had his name changed to Israel. So that's the tribes, man, the tribes of Israel. This is Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right. And so, yeah, it's going to be a great day so that none is like it, because it's going to be a big time of judgment, okay, for the Israelites. All right. Mainly the 2/3 Okay, because where it says, but he shall be saved out of it, that's not talking about everybody. That's talking about the elect. All right, because there is a one third of our people are going to be delivered out of America. But as the scriptures say, 2/3 of our people are going to die. Now, I'll read that real quick. This is Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. So yeah, 2 parts. It says in all the land, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. So 2/3 of our people are going to perish. All right. And that's majority. That's millions of Israelites. All right. Which is Jacob's trouble, as we just explained, because the so-called white man is going to come. Well, the Lord is going to allow him to, but the so-called white man is going to, he's going to basically, whoop on a lot of Israelites, man, and it's going to get real bad, and you have this ICE situation, which is just the beginning, they're grabbing up a lot of our people. Yeah, because the Northern Kingdom, which is the Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans and Seminole Indians, but mainly the Hispanics and Latinos, they're the ones that are getting sent back and deported, and that are, they're the targets right now. All right, and they're being placed in, prison. They're being placed in, what do you call it? Extradited to foreign prisons. And yeah, so this is what's going on in the world. All right, and ultimately, it's the Lord that's making these things happen. Because I want to make a point, which is that, well, 2 things. You so-called Mexicans, you hit Mexicans and Latinos, Hispanics, all of you Northern Kingdom tribes. All right, you should have not trusted the so-called white man. Because you came here to America under the belief that you would have a better life and you could trust this system. But the scriptures tell you otherwise. All right, you should have really just stayed. You were really better off staying where you were at. Rather than set up a permanent residence in America. Because things are better here in America. You can make your money. The living conditions are much better. The money here is worth a lot more. So, they'll send a lot of money back home to their own, place. But, yeah, you should have just never trusted, Esau. You should have never made this a permanent residence. Because America it's set up to destroy, set up to be destroyed. All right. It was never intended to last forever. Now, this is Sirach 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Yeah, never trust thine enemy. And who is our number one enemy? Our number one enemy is the so-called white man. All right, which is Esau in the Bible. All right, but he's clearly the devil. And, he's basically showing himself to be the devil because he's targeting you Israelites. All right. But it says never trust thine enemy. So you should have never trusted him to begin with. You should have never, got too comfortable here in America to where now you can't even go back to your home country. But the irony is that, a lot of these immigrants, they're raising up to, they're raising up their home flag, for the very place that they are trying to not go back to, which is pretty ironic. But this is verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Yeah, so it says, though he humble himself, yeah, because, that's the sneaky nature of a devil is to try to come off, humble and like he's on your side. But it says, the scripture says, take good heed and beware of him. So yeah, you should beware of him. You should take good heed. All right, you shouldn't trust this devil and his system. But you tribes, you got influenced by the wine. You read Jeremiah 51, the 51st chapter, and it goes into Babylon, which is America. But it talks about it mentions the wine of Babylon, which is basically those philosophies, right? The philosophies and ways which were enticing to a lot of people, because America is very enticing to, immigrants. Like I said, the quality of living is better. The money is good. You could pretty much have a nice house, a nice car, fairly easily. But it's corrupt. This place is still corrupt nonetheless, and it's ran by the devil. This America is Satan's habitat, the habitat of the devil. All right. And so, matter of fact, let's jump down. It says, verse 13, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? Yeah, so who's going to pity a charmer? A charmer is someone who, they do the little snake, they have the snake do different things. Snake charmer. But it says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? Yeah, so who's going to have pity on a snake charmer? That's your job. Your job is risky. So nobody's going to feel bad for you because, that's your job. So, yeah, we don't necessarily feel bad for you people who are getting deported by ICE because you were charming with a serpent. You were charming, you were dancing with the devil, so to speak. Now it is a fucked up situation. Esau is the devil. But ultimately this is all Lord that's stirring these things up. All right, and he's bringing division. All right, YAHAWASHI said that I came not to bring peace on the earth, but a sword. He also said that he came to bring division. So he's not coming to bring people together. He's coming to bring chaos and division and all those things, because there's going to be a separation between righteousness and evil and wickedness. All right, and so we'll continue to see how this plays out. I mean, it's going to get worse and worse. They're rioting now over on the West Coast. But America's, in mourning. This is affecting a lot of people. People are crying. Families are getting split apart. And you know, people are having to, you know, deal with a lot of grief due to this whole situation. So, you know, like I said, we'll see how this plays out and, you know, continue to watch for the news and prophecy. But ultimately, this is Jacob's trouble, the beginning of Jacob's trouble, which is going to get drastically worse. All right. And, you know, so Lord willing, you ratify, giving all praise, honor, glory to YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakwadash, Shalom.